Welcome everybody to Cranky Old Anglers along with James Dockery. I'm Lyle and James.
With me stepping in for Mark, we should really think about changing the name again because I'm not that old. I'm the cranky part, but I'm not old.
You look old.
I'm not as old as you two jackasses.
Well, that may be, but you still look the part.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Mark is not doing so well this week, and he's getting ready for some procedures, so he might be gone for a few days, and that's okay. James is willing to step in and help out. We wish him the very best with everything, and all this stuff gets done up, and he gets back to going, and he'll always be here whenever we need him. So he gets back from getting all this stuff done. We'll get him back in here and harass his ass a while.
There we go.
In the meantime, we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff tonight. We kind of went over that before the show started, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. But James, it's coming up, and it's not going to be too awful long before these fish are going to be spawning, or at least staging up to spawn and things like that. We got near 80-degree weather coming in this week, so
yep.
It ought to be pretty good.
And Josh, I'm always taller than Lyle, buddy.
He just stays closer to the camera. If I move up, I can be bigger than him too.
No, you move up and people start freaking out.
You think?
Santa's a certain size, and it always will be.
Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
But no, but the pre-spawn is definitely on up here in Northeast Missouri. And them fish are moving up out of that deep. You can find some of the spots around here 20, maybe 30 feet deep. Probably have been hovering down in through there between there and 8 foot all winter. So now they're moving up into those, about 6 to 8 feet flats, and they're just waiting to spawn. I've got one lake up here that they're already starting to get their spawn colors on. But that lake is really shallow. I think the deepest spot in it's probably 12 foot.
Oh, wow.
And it's fairly decent size, but it's old, and I mean really old. It's all silted in, so there's not much, for them fish in that. And I'm not sure that there's not any structure left in that lake, so that we may have to remedy that this year. But they're definitely starting to gear up.
Is it big enough to put a boat in?
You don't want to put your big boat in there.
Well, the reason I was asked, it's a lot easier to put structure in out of a boat.
Oh, it is. But that's what I've got kayaks for also. So
that's not a boat.
No, it may not be a boat, but you know what? It'll work.
It does work.
I still plan on getting you out in one.
Well, we talk about that.
We do.
And, I'm not, I've got to the point now where I might set in one and see if we can do it. The problem I have is you got to get your feet wet, and
not necessarily. If you're fishing with somebody, that you can get in your kayak and they can kind of push you out, and you don't have to get your feet wet at all.
Well, it's not that I don't want to, but it's too cold for my feet to be wet right now.
That water's more than freezing. It's probably about 40 degrees right at the moment.
I wouldn't bet on that. It was cold here the other night.
Well, I bet you it's still about 40 degrees.
Well, that'd be all right. What's the temperature that crappie start spawning
at? Crappie, depending on it's white or black. I mean, depending on which way you want to go about it. My crappie usually start to spawn about 55 to 65, depending. White crappie will start spawning about 60 to 68 degrees. So, they don't always spawn at the exact same time, which is actually a good thing.
Damn right.
But they'll start moving up, and like I said, they're looking for flats. They're looking for all that stuff. They'll actually make a run into shore just to kind of check things out, and they'll run right back out. So there's a lot of times last time we went, I think Jolene caught that big crappie of hers in about 2 foot of water. So, I mean, they're coming up. They're looking for food. They're looking for them shad balls that have schooled up or, that have died off, that kind of stuff. They're hungry. They're looking for something to eat.
With the amount of frozen water we had this year, I figured there is a big shad kill.
And I haven't noticed any big shad kills yet. Now you
I
always
have seen it, but
right, you always have right, but you always have some shad that die off during the winter months. But I haven't seen a big shad kill yet up here.
No, that's a good thing. That just gives them more to eat, and they grow faster and get bigger, and they do. They eat shad and fathead minnows and all, just everything that there is, whatever that's available to them, they'll eat. So
oh yeah. And you present a good plastic to them or a hand tie, and it's on.
Especially if you can get something that looks like what they're eating.
Yeah,
that's all right. If they're looking. If you go to a place and shad's all that's in there, I hear these guys say, "Oh, it's got to be this color. It's got to be that color." If it's the color of what they're eating, they're probably going to eat it because that's what they eat every day. And if it's shad, then something shiny and flashy probably going to work. And if it's then fathead minnows and something dark on the back and a little lighter on the bottom and an olive color, it worked all last year like that because I knew what they was eating.
Right. And me personally, I really don't think color matters all that much. I really, really don't. I think it's more the size and the presentation that is going to get more fish to bite, especially if they're finicky fish. The smaller the lure that you can get, the better off your chances are of catching those finicky fish. Just for the simple fact of, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm a big fish, and I'm looking at this, bait swimming around and it's, 2.5, 3 inch bait, I'm going to have to chase that just a little bit. And if it's something small, I can kind of just, wander up to it, and it's not going to take much for me to get him.
That's so
right. I have better luck on them smaller jigs than I do the bigger ones. And I mean, and you see the results from, my catches. I'm still catching big fish.
I think another thing that people overlook is cork fishing.
Yes.
Because especially in this cool water, you can keep that in front of their face longer than if you're reeling the jig in. I mean, you can actually let it sit in front of their face. It's only going to sit there so long if it's something they want to eat that they're going to be able to take that without hitting it.
Well, and
they eat about,
right. The float fishing and stuff like that, if it's calm, it's basically dead sticking is all you're doing.
That's right.
With those jigs. If there's got a little bit of wind, let that bobber do the work for you. I mean, if those waves are, just bouncing just a little bit on that bobber and stuff like that, it'll move that jig around.
Absolutely.
To where that fish is like, well, maybe that thing is alive, and come up and smack it.
And another thing, James, is it'll move that thing. If you cast, say you've got a brush pile straight out in front of you and the wind's blowing to the east and you're facing the south, if you throw it up to the west side, and the waves are moving like this, it'll also move it along so it doesn't stay in the same spot all the time. And it's like a minnow swimming along there.
Yep. And that's another, thing to hover over those brush piles right now.
Yeah, just once you figure out how deep they are and lose 4 or 5 jigs,
that's part of the game.
Just go right over top of them. But now I've spent the last couple of days, I've been putting on brush guards on my jigs, and they do not stop you from getting hung up, but it sure knocks the hell out of getting hung up as much. I mean, I've went from losing 5 or 6 jigs a day to 1, maybe 2 on a bad day, but for the most part, 1 or 2 is about it. And before I was losing tons of them because you get in that brush, and once it's in there, that hook sticks a branch, you're done.
You're done. Yeah. Well, and most of those brush piles, especially like the places that you're fishing, MDC are putting them in there. And those are your cedar trees, that kind of stuff, your conifers. And generally a rule of thumb is every 5 years you want to repurpose that brush pile, meaning you want to throw more brush on there because by then the smaller limbs have fallen off. That kind of stuff. So all you're left with is just one big, log in the center. So, it's not going to hold as many fish. So if you have a lake or a pond or something like that that has brush piles, most agencies like, the conservation department or stuff like that, they will list out exactly where they drop those brush piles at, how deep they are, how big the pile is, that kind of stuff. When was it last, refurbished, the whole 9 yards. So make sure you check your, conservation website or DNR website. There's a lot of good information on those websites as to where those brush piles are.
They mark them on the maps and things. And I know Dennis Lawrenson told me last year that a bunch of them people get together and go out and they help them, the conservation department, put them brush piles out on Mark Twain. Yeah. And he says that he don't mind doing it at all, because not only does now he knows for sure where they're at, he knows what's been put on.
Yeah. Well, and one of the issues is how much is too much of a structure? How much is too, much brush piles and stuff like that? I've taken you down there to Thomas Hill, and that's just a snag city down through there, because everybody and the brother has to have their own brush pile. It's a quarry engineer lake, so there's really no regulation as to say you can't put them in there or you can put them in there. So people just put them in there.
Right.
And you go along the T bridge there on Thomas Hill, and you can't catfish along that dam anymore. You can't, really? Because everybody has just thrown so much brush and stuff in through there that you can't reel back in through it. So that's part of the issue that, even the conservation agents would love to curtail, is people throwing, the brush and stuff in there, because they don't, they're not tracking it. And, it can ruin too much brush inside of a lake, can actually ruin the fish population in that lake, because, those baby shad and stuff like that, they'll hang around them brush piles. Well, those crappie go up in through there, and it'll even hold small crappie and bluegill, and the crappie and bluegill that would have gotten eaten if they hadn't been in that brush pile are still there. So they're just multiplying left and right. It doesn't help that it's a coal fire plant lake. So, they're spawning, as much as they possibly can in that water.
I no doubt.
So, but yeah, I like the idea of the conservation department, or working with the conservation department here in Missouri, to put some of those places in there, because then where they are. They know where they are. Absolutely. They can regulate, whether or not they want one in there or not want one in there. We did here in Missouri, they have a CAP program is what it's called. And it's a conservation assistance program. And what that does is, if the conservation department will come in and they'll help stock the lake, they'll maintain, help maintain the fish population. If it's looking, bad or good, they'll recommend, take more crappie, take more bass, take, this, that kind of stuff. And they have those set limits where you can catch 30 bluegill or 30 crappie, 20 bluegill, so many bass, so many channel cat, and that's it. Now on the cap ones, that goes by the state, or non-cap, that goes by the state level. So you can go up to one lake here, here in Schuyler County, there's 4 lakes that are public. 2 of them are cap, 2 of them are non-cap. So those non-cap lakes, you can go up there and catch 50 bluegill. Wow. And take them home. And on those cap lakes, you're only allowed to take 20.
Right.
So you just make sure you understand the regulations and the lakes and stuff like that you're fishing on. Well, what I was getting at was, we worked with the conservation department because we knew there was no structure in one of these lakes up here at all. It was just barren. And so the conservation department went to the city and they worked together, and then they got a hold of me and was like, yeah, we're going to be able to do this. Well, I went out and cut 75 trees down of the conifers around here, little buckbrush, what we call them. And that's what we used to make those brush piles. And we scattered them out and, put 5 in each little spot, so that, there's more opportunity for people to fish. So you have to work as a team with everybody if you're going to do this. And don't just think that, especially if it's a city lake, don't be going out there and throwing brush inside that, because that can be considered littering and get you in a ton of trouble.
Yeah, nobody needs that.
Work with the DNR conservation department, and I guarantee they'd be more than happy to work with you.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things he was talking about limits, these conservation lakes, every one I've ever been to, and I'm sure they all have it. When you pull into the parking lot, there is a sign there. Read that sign. It will tell you what the regulations is and how many fish you can keep of each species. And most of them, it's 4 catfish a day. Doesn't matter if they're little bitty or great big. It's 4 catfish. Bass usually has a slot limit, and you keep so many unders or overs, but none in the slot. And for the most part, they want you to catch them unders to take them out, because most of them are over. Most of these conservation lakes are way overpopulated bass.
Oh yeah.
And on the crappie side of it, you're allowed 30, and you keep any size. So if you like the little bitty ones, it's okay.
Yeah.
And if you just want the big ones, or if you want to set your own size limit, which is what I do, I try not to take nothing underneath 9 inches, because I get a bigger piece of meat off of it when I fillet them out. But if it's slow, I might falter on that and take an 8 or 8.5, but I try not to. But 30 of them and 20 bluegill.
You take 30 crappie and 20 bluegill, and you put them in a basket. That's going to look like you've got about 100 fish in there.
And that's a lot more than I want to clean it with.
Exactly. That's a lot more than most people want to set there.
Exactly. You betcha. Yeah, that's a lot of filleting. So, and if I'm catching crappie, I'm not fishing for bluegill. I might catch one every now and then. But if you do crappie fishing, usually it's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, the Lake Show Me, I took you over to that one one day, and that has some of the best red ear sunfish fishing around here, along with bluegills and crappie both.
Oh man!
And that is what they kind of consider it a trophy lake, just for the size of the bluegill and the crappie that are in that lake. It is a panfish trophy lake, is what someone explained it to me as. So
it's got crappie in it too, right?
Oh, it's got massive crappie in there. I mean, and they're thick. They're not the, skinny. You can tell that they're healthy.
Right.
The water is crystal clear, the whole 9 yards. It's awesome fishing up through there. But they've maintained that. They've managed it. They go out and they electric shock and, do counts on it at least, every other year, that kind of stuff. I can honestly say that hands down, with all of the agencies I've ever worked with in different states and stuff like that, Missouri Department of Conservation has got to be one of the best.
Oh, absolutely.
And their fisheries biologist people they are. I mean, they know what they're doing. If they make a recommendation, there's a reason behind it.
That's right. And that's what I've always said. I don't like the fact that when they do a study, it takes 5 years to do it. But when they do that 5-year study and they make their decision, it's the right one.
Yeah.
It's not a guessing game at that point. They've spent the time and invested the effort into making a decision that's going to work. And when somebody says, oh, we shouldn't do that or we can't do that, you're wrong. If you couldn't do it or shouldn't do it, they'd have found out in 5 years. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. And you're always going to have the naysayers, no matter what.
Especially on the regulations on catfish, like on treatment and stuff like that. We fought that. Cindy and I fought that hard with them for years, going to all their meetings and doing all the stuff and helping them out and doing all the crap that we did. And I don't regret a minute of it.
Yeah.
To go up there and listen to the clowns say, oh, we got to have them fish to eat, them slot limit fish to eat because we can't feed our families. Then go get you a friggin' job.
Yeah.
There's a sign in every McDonald's in the country that needs help. Go get you a job if you need groceries that bad.
Yeah.
Holy crap, man.
No, but I mean, the conservation department itself, like I said, they do an actually great job at managing a lot of things.
They do.
And some lakes, like Thomas Hill, there's only a 15 limit crappie on there. So you can only take 15 of them at a time.
Right.
And the ones that that you can catch down there. Now there is a lot of unders. I mean, we're talking, 10-inch and under crappie by, the bucketfuls. But that's because it is a Corps of Engineer lake, and, it's warm water, and they're spawning, and they have tons and tons to eat, with that shad reproducing, pretty much year round.
Pretty much.
So, and that's one of the places around here that, and I think Long Branch is also 15.
Could be. I've not been.
Yeah, I haven't fished that one much. So
I've been up by it, but I've never stopped and fished it. So I'm not sure.
Well, in order to get to the fishing dock or the ADA dock, there on Long Branch, it's a hike. I mean, it's probably 500 yards, if not more, from the parking lot.
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Yeah. Well, we can just put you in your wheelchair and roll you out there, so you'll be all right. There's a little bit of everything in your lap. Yeah. But no, this time of year is a great time, to be out, especially exploring. Those crappie are going to be out, and like I said, right now I'm going to go 8 to probably 12 foot of water, and I'm going to start there. And if I'm hitting on them, I'm going to shorten that, that up a little bit. I may even, venture up into the 2 foot range just to see if there's something that's swimming up and down, the bank. Yeah, you're going to catch bass, you're going to catch bluegill. You'll occasionally, hook into a channel cat that, fights to no end.
Which is all right with me.
Yeah, but for the most part, I'm really after those crappie.
Absolutely.
And you can catch some massive size crappie right now this time of year. I mean, if you put the time and the effort into it, and people are always asking me, well, how do you target those big fish? I'm not targeting big fish. What you're not seeing is how many small dinks I have caught, repeatedly over and over. I'm like everybody else. I want them to, to click on my picture, to blow it up, to see how big that fish is that I caught. And that may have been the only one, and then there's times when I've got an entire basket full of them, and it's just because, it all worked out. I tell everybody, the fishing is 90% skill, or 10% skill and 90% luck. Point blank and simple.
That's very true. But you got to know where to go and where to get them. And
well, you do, but I mean, that's just
time in to find them spots.
Yeah. But no, and that's just, different lakes. People will recommend, hey, have you tried this lake? Nope, sure haven't. You write the name of the lake down, and next thing you know, a week or two goes by, and me and Katie are like, hey, let's just go for a drive. And we end up fishing there.
Yep.
And
I had a guy come in and work on the cable here for me. And he was telling me about that lake that I went down to last week, and I never heard of it. I mean, I never heard of the place. And I went down there, and it doesn't have a dock or anything on it, but it was decent walking around part of it that I went around. The problem was I put the shock collar on my dog and took her down there with me and forgot to take the transmitter with me. So the first thing she does is, while I'm trying to catch fish, she's in the water, and you couldn't keep her out of it. When she's out like that, I really hate to tie her up. So I just put the fishing stuff up and let her roll,
Yeah.
Get good and wet and be happy.
And I apologize now if you guys hear a dog fight or dog bark. I'm training a new pup, and Katie's little lap dog does not like this thing. And if you know anything about Chihuahuas, well, they're 5 pounds of anger. Stop. And they don't like anybody. So
wow, that reminds me of you.
Pretty much. So I like quite a few people, actually.
Actually, you think?
Yeah. I tolerate other people. Parker. Yeah, those kind of people.
Oh man.
But
this is really a great time of the year to be fishing.
Well, it is, and not only that, we've been locked up in the house, some have been locked up in the house all winter long.
Right.
They haven't got out and fished. They haven't, it's a perfect time. The weather's getting a little bit nicer, and even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, folks, take your time and go out.
Absolutely.
Even if you go out and sit by the water, it's a reset.
I was telling you before the show started that I'm having problems hauling my rods around the back of the truck. There's a couple of things that I've done, and I'm going to share them with everybody tonight. One thing is a lot of these conservation lakes that I've been going to have gravel roads on them. And it may not be very long, but on them dry days, that dust comes up between the tailgate and the bed of your truck, and everything in it gets dusty, and you have to take and the reels out and constantly work on them and oil them and stuff like that because the dust gets up in them. Well, if you'll take one of them little thin pool noodles and cut that in half and jam it down in between the bed and the tailgate, you can stop nearly all of that. Yeah, that's how it gets up in there. So that's
during the colder months they sell that it's a foam that you can put around the doors.
Yeah, weather stripping.
Yep, the weather stripping that goes easily right into your truck. Doesn't tear it up. No screws or anything like that.
I got a bunch of them pool noodles, so I whacked them, put them in there, and that helped a great deal. The other thing I'm having problems with is I usually take at least 10 rods with me, all set up differently with different stuff on them. I know that sounds like overkill, but if I got to walk down into them docks, I don't want to make 100 trips. I don't mind 3 or 4, but I don't want to make them all day because I'm forgetting stuff.
Well, you're forgetting things anyway.
Well, sometimes, yeah. But they get tangled up in the back of the truck, rolled around back there. So I got the little piece of Velcro, and I got it at Walmart, and it come in shapes like this, and I cut it into strips like this, and I Velcro the two piece rods together. Now, the one-piece rods, of course, you just lay them across there, and I don't have very many of them in panfish. Almost all my catfish rods are one-piece, but in fact, they all are. But I like the two-piece and the panfish stuff just simply because they're easy to carry around. You can put them in the back seat if you want to. You can put them in the back of the truck. Doesn't matter. They'll fit anywhere. But they get tangled up with the two pieces flopping around as you hit bumps and everything, but the Velcro stops that from happening. Right. So that's something you guys a couple of things that you can think about if you're having those issues.
Yep. So were you gonna say hi to people in chat tonight, or?
I guess so. Yeah, I really I haven't done that for so long. Nobody will let me do it anymore. I guess you would.
I'll let you do it. Go for
it. All right, let's get up here. Let's see. Ernie Brown was the first one in chat. I'm not sure he's still in here with us, but he was the first one in chat. And Joe Buck 66, Josh the Weekend Angler, Greg Burgess, Mike Irwin, Pontoon Jody has joined us. We had a good show with her the other night on Catfish Weekly. Let's see who else we got in here. Schmieder of the Cedar, that's a coolest name on the internet. Parker Pursuits, LG Bass. Heather has made it in. My daughter Heather, got to meet her tomorrow and give her one of my cameras to use. And Cindy has made it. Let's see who else. Nubby's Catfishing. I should have popped it out. It'd been easier than going through this. And Matt with Want to Be Outdoors. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you all in here. If you're in here and we don't call your name out, it's because you're not in chat. And that's the only way I have of knowing who is in here and who is not. So that's how that works. But we have a total of 20 watching right now. And there's been more and less since the show started. So.
Well, I'm assuming with this weather warming up, people are like, no, I'm not going to sit there and watch, some grumpy old guys talk about fishing. I'm going to actually go fishing, and I don't blame you.
No,
I was about this close going out and fishing tonight for the show tonight, just going out to the dock and seeing what all I could catch. So,
I've noticed one thing about these conservation docks, James. A lot of them don't have very good internet service.
No. But you know what? That's not a bad thing, though.
It's not a bad thing, but if you want to go live or do a show from one of them where you're really on fish, it makes it a little tough. Now, I'd done one live with Mark last spring over at Honeywell, but I had to stand in a certain spot to get signal, and it wasn't exactly where the fish was at. I caught some fish, but it wasn't where I needed to really be in the fish. You know, I caught some bluegill and stuff, but it was still a fun time. And that particular night, there was a whole bunch of people on the dock, and it's a public dock, so that's just part of fishing in public docks. Is there's always or usually a lot of people on there. Matt, want to be outdoors. Remember 11 months. Thank you so much, Matt. But that's one of the things if you're going to go live, you got to be willing to do that. And if there's someone there and I'm recording or doing something, I'll always ask them.
Always ask them.
Tell them I'm doing it. And if they don't want to be part of it, that's fine. I'll make sure that you're not, but I'm probably still going to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, a lot of the places that I like going to, there are no internet services. I mean, none. And that's the way I prefer. I don't want to go out there and, have people call or text or message or anything like that. I'm out there for a reason. So,
right. You know, the lake that you and I fished up there in that panfish tournament of Stans last year.
Yep.
That had really good internet service right there, but we was right by the dock also. So,
yeah, we were right by the dock, and we weren't that far away from the marina itself.
No, we wasn't. We sure had a good time.
Definitely tore them up that day.
We did.
I've had better days out there, though.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Sure loaded with them. Man, we'll get together and go back up there one of these days and catch them.
We can do that.
Yep.
But no, I mean, there's several lakes around here that are just like that one there. And again, the biggest issue is because fishing is down across the board, people buying licenses and actually going and stuff like that. There's not as much pressure on these fish populations as what there once was. So you're having to weed through a lot of the smaller ones in order to find them bigger ones. And that's where those guys in there. Yep. And that's where those guys with live scope, they'll sit there and chase those big ones all day long. And they may not get them, they may not, and I'm not bashing live scope. I'm not. If that's what you want to do, great, go for it. But I'm one of these guys, I want completely unplugged. I don't want any electronics. I want to be able to go to a lake and make sure that I'm able to read that water, find the structure if need to, that kind of stuff, and see if I can't challenge myself to get on the big fish.
The only thing that I really have against live scope is too many people are just picking the big fish instead of taking fish.
They are.
They're just cherry picking the fish. That's the thing I got out of the most of all. And I guarantee you they could sell them for $50 a unit and make money on them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's once the investment in any kind of electronics is getting it made the first one. Yeah. After that, they don't cost nothing to produce.
Well,
one and making it work right.
Here's the thing: you give it 5 years from now, live scope is going to be third, fourth rate, equipment to have on your boat.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And
you'll have that in the price. The price will go down dramatically.
Because we're all going to have a little guy on our boat named Lyle that we can tie a rope to and throw him over water and go over the boat and
make a big splash if you do that. But yeah, they'll have the technology that they're coming out with year after year after year is just unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not against technology. I'm not. I mean, I have actual, equipment here that I can hook up to my kayak or I can hook up to my little boat or whatever if I need to. I haven't used it in, probably 5-6 years. I just, I enjoy going out and challenging myself, to find those fish, to be able to read that water. And there's days I'll go out, I may not catch anything. But you know what? I was outside. I was away from the computer. I was away from the cell phone. TV. Whole 9 yards. Yep.
I understand completely.
Because the way that the world's going right now, folks, just go out. Enjoy what you got.
Have a good time. I mean, much too short.
Or you'll end up grumpy like Mark and Lyle and end up doing a Wednesday night show at some point.
For something to do.
Yep.
And you get some dick like James to come in here to help us out.
Exactly. That's exactly how Josh asked me the other night if I'd help him with Catfish Weekly. Is like, hey, Dick, you want to help me? I'm sure. Why not?
Yeah.
So
He should have called. He should have messaged me. I haven't heard from him forever, but
well, we told everybody that you were, helping or had a event you were going to for midgets, and Chad was judging, but it would all be on DVD later on.
Oh my God,
the road.
That doesn't surprise me that you would say that, but I know that Chad's big into midget porn.
Yeah, well, just saying. Just saying. And just like that, the show went downhill. Damn. That didn't take long.
For those people
we made it halfway before it went downhill. So
yeah. For people that haven't been getting their stuff ready, now is the perfect time to get all your stuff organized, get it together, get your tackle boxes. Everything I got's in little 3600 or 3700 series boxes, and get them out, sort them out, throw the bad stuff away. If you got rusty hooks, give them a pitch, get you some new ones, put all that in there, separate out your sinkers, and because over a period of a year, it'll get messed up.
Oh yeah.
And get it straightened out, get ready to go. If it's raining, that's a perfect thing to do on a rainy day. We're not actually supposed to have any rain for like 10 days.
I haven't looked that far out at
rain. If that's the case, I'm gonna go get the boat, charge batteries up in it, make sure it's ready to go, because I have a bridge that I want to fish really bad.
Down there by you?
Sort of, yeah. I've been hearing good things about it for the last year, and an old man told me that's the only place he fishes. He puts his boat in, he goes to that bridge, and he sits there, and then he goes home, and he catches fish every time he goes out. So I'm thinking that's probably a good place for me to go.
Yeah, that's probably. I'd say right this time of year, I'm ordering lures. I'm getting tackle box cleaned up, gear greased and ready to go. Making sure everything's good to go and all that stuff. So
that's right. I've been doing that, put new line on a couple of them. I even took line off of a couple of new reels and put different line on because I don't like the line that comes on.
Well, that's the first thing I do. If it's got line on that reel, I don't care if it's just off the showroom floor. It's getting that line stripped right off of it. Yeah. I just don't trust it.
I'm really having a hard time finding 4-pound high vis line right now, unless I buy vicious. Yeah. Seems like everybody's got vicious. Well, that tells me that for some reason it's not nearly as popular as everything else, because everything else is sold out.
Yeah, well, and that could be.
I don't know that much about vicious line, but it's cheap.
Yeah.
You can buy a great big spool of it for less than $10, and it'll probably put on line on 8 or 10 reels, and I'll know pretty quick if I like it or not. Yeah. I like the high vis because I can see it. If the line jumps, it's easier to see than the clear line.
See, and I'm glad you brought that up. This time of year when that water, we've got the ice off up here. That water is still cold. I spend more time watching that line than I do the tip of that rod or anything else.
Yep.
That'll tell you more than anything.
You'll see the line move before you'll ever feel the fish.
Oh yeah. Yep.
If you're a line watcher, and if you're not a line watcher, then you're waiting to feel it. But it won't be long to where them thumps will start coming in hot and heavy. Soon.
Oh yeah.
The water warms up a little bit more. But right now, and another thing that people don't understand, they think they're hung up or they think they've hit bottom. If you're using a cork, whether it be a slip cork or a spring cork, if it turns sideways in the water, you better set the hook, because fish are coming up.
Up, exactly.
And that takes the load off that line, and that cork will turn sideways. If that happens, usually it's getting a bite.
Well, chances are, though, by the time that cork turns sideways,
they're already turned loose.
They already turned it loose. That's a secondary reaction, and you're behind the 8 ball on that.
Yeah, unless they're really, really getting it and got it deep and hooked themselves.
Yeah. So
and that happens.
It does. But no, and I'll be starting to hit some of my farm ponds here on the property here pretty quick, just to see how they did over the winter. I'll kind of do a little bit of sampling, see how many more I need to pull out, if I need to put some more in there. If they need flathead minnows put back in there, if the the brush pile is, gotten old enough to be replaced yet, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done in about, a month's time, but within a week. So, just to actually get it out and get this year going. And don't get me wrong, I'm already on the board with a lot of big fish and a lot of just regular fish, but there's always room for improvement. That's right. For sure.
That's exactly right. So, but it looks like it's going to be a great year to catch fish. Real excited about getting this year underway a little bit heavier what it has been, but I'm thinking that we're probably done with that really, really cold stuff, and we can go ahead and get, everything around me is fishing gear. So I'm getting ready to load a bunch of it up in the truck, and I'm ready to go.
Well, we went through the other day and cleaned out the back of the car, and we took out all the ice fishing equipment and that kind of stuff that we took out there for the winter months.
How much did you use that this year?
What's that?
How much did you use that ice fishing stuff this year?
Actually, quite a bit.
Did you really?
Yeah. I got to the point where I really wasn't posting a lot of stuff online, but it was, I could go down there to the dock or go up north, or go over to Show Me or anywhere and through there. And I was catching limits of fish. It was just, I wasn't posting. I didn't want to be around anybody. And if you start posting fish around here, everybody and their brother is going to be right there, shoulder to shoulder. It looks like Bennett Springs on opening morning. So,
oh my God, I've done that so many times.
No. I watched that from the comfort of my home, and that's more than enough.
Bennett?
Yep.
Used to go every opening morning. For years we've done that, but it just got to the point. The funniest thing I'd ever seen happened out at Bennett when my oldest son was, I don't know, big enough he stood up to see the truck, probably 2, maybe 3 years old. I don't know. 2, I'm guessing. We was all standing up down there waiting for the whistle to blow, and Cindy was actually in the truck with him, and he hit the horn on my truck, and about 9,000 people cast out.
Oh.
They realized that it was a horn, so they're all trying to reel back up for them. Fish get on there, and Earl Hubbard, a friend of mine who's no longer with us, he was dying. He just thought that was the funniest thing ever. It was pretty damn funny. There was only 3 or 4 of us that didn't cast out. Everybody else that you could see.
I bet you guys all got some dirty looks, though.
The dirty looks come when Earl, he was about 6'3" or 6'4". He's about Josh's height, not quite as heavy as Josh, but he was a real man's man. He lived to fight and fought to live, And he was down there one day, and we was just having a big time. And every time he cast out, he had 2 or 3 rods laying on the bank side. Every time he cast out, somebody cast over and tangled him. So he had one sitting there with a big old treble hook on it. He waited till all of them cast out, and he threw it over top of them. He reeled them all in, took a cigarette, and went around, cut all their lines off, reached down, picked up his other, started fishing. And nobody said a word to him, not a word. It was the funniest thing I ever seen in my entire life. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. But it makes for good stories. Yeah.
It does.
Good memories.
Great times down there.
Oh yeah. But no, we're getting there. We're about, like I said, I don't know, maybe up here, we're probably a month away from the official spawn going off up here.
I guess that's about right, yeah.
But you will have, your smaller ponds, smaller lakes, that kind of stuff. They'll go long before those big lakes do.
Oh yeah.
If you time it out just right, you can hit probably 15 different lakes or bodies of water around here, and actually have success, fishing the spawn on all of them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Timed it out just right. They've got the Finger Lakes down there at down by where Columbia is.
Yeah, down by Columbia.
Yep, just outside of Columbia. That won't be be long before it starts. Pompaterre probably is really, really close.
I would say they probably are close.
Say I haven't talked to anybody that's been fishing down there, but I've seen Eric Massey, he's been posting pictures and getting ready to go and all that stuff. So
yeah.
But yeah, we're like I said, we're getting there, and hopefully this year.
Yeah.
We've got some, like I said, we've got some tournaments that we're going to be doing. The kids tournaments we're helping out with. Jolene's fishing a couple tournaments, kids tournaments.
Last year.
She did. She won 2 of them last year. She got first place in 2 of them, and then 1 of them she got big fish. So
no, I think this is her last year.
This is her last year of fishing the kids tournaments. Yep, she turned 16 this year, and
she turned 16. No kid.
Yep, she'll turn 16.
Wow. Have you got her car bought?
Oh no. That's right, Cindy. They did find a lot of noodle boxes down there with that water being so low.
Bless their hearts. I hope they find out who set them out.
Well, and the thing about it, they're just going to replace them.
People that thought don't follow the law, find their ass right good, they won't.
That is the one thing I'll have to disagree with the conservation department about is I don't think their penalties are stiff enough.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And even if they are, they never give the maximum.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you know what? That's not on the conservation department. That's on the judge.
Well, then he needs to be replaced.
Well, that could be too, but the judge and the prosecutor said, they work on a lot of this. The agents and stuff like that, all they do is investigate. They write the court summons. Yep. That's it. So they don't set the fines. They don't set any of that stuff. If they're taking illegal fish out, whatever the maximum is, you ought to double it at least, because they're nothing to start with. But now, if you're starving and you go out and shoot a deer and they catch you, most of them will give you a ticket for that. When you go to court, that judge will hang your ass for that. Oh, yeah.
Illegal deer. But it's okay if you steal our fish out of the rivers and stuff. They just give you a slap on the hand for that.
Yeah, but you know what? If those people are out there stealing fish, there's a good chance they probably couldn't afford that fine anyway.
I'm talking about the ones stealing and taking these pay lakes.
Well, that's a totally different subject.
Yes,
right there.
It is. And them guys know they're doing it.
Oh, yeah.
They know, and they know where they're keeping them. They know all that stuff, but they just can't make it done. Hello, Chrissy Brown.
There's Chrissy.
Great to see you in here tonight.
Yeah. But no, Cindy, I saw them. They had I think it was 4 or 5 pictures and some of these things were huge.
They had boxes of videos with pulling the boxes out. Yeah.
One of them was a tractor tire that somebody had cut the side out of and threw inside that lake. And I was just like, well, that's definitely created, but surely somebody saw that, that in a boat somewhere.
Do you remember our old buddy Keith Atkins?
Yeah.
Okay. Keith and I was fishing the Missouri River, and we was looking for bait one day, and we went up this creek, and we went up it as far as my boat would go. And he gets out and he said, man, look at that tractor tire over there. He said, I wonder if there's any bait got stuck in that when that water was up. I said, I don't know. So he walks across this mud to get to this tire, and he says, there's a flathead in here spawning. I said, how big is it? He said, it's huge. He's standing on his tractor tire, and he reaches down and gets a hold of this old girl, and he stood up, and Keith's a big old boy, and the tail was still touching the bottom, and he just set her right back there. She went right back in there, laid right back where we picked her out. This is a big old tractor tire. This fish was, I don't know, 60 or plus pounds at least. Yeah. And she hadn't spawned out yet.
I will give everybody some really, really good advice. If you see one of those boxes or something like that in the water, report it to your conservation agent, your DNR, whatever.
Absolutely.
Do not go up there and mess with that, because if they've already found it and they see you go up there, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to talk yourself out of a ticket.
Yeah, it's going to be yours whether you own it or not.
Exactly. So that's exactly what it is. So just be careful about that.
But they do need to be made aware of it. Because
they do. They
can't fix the problems if nobody tells them. They just can't.
Yep. And that's the most important thing. I can't, and I stress that more than I care to admit to, but working with these agencies and stuff like that, that only improves your fisheries, your hunting, all that stuff.
Yep.
They're just doing a job the same as everybody else.
That's right. And
they don't want to write them tickets. They don't want to write the tickets. They don't want to, write citations or anything like that. They don't want to arrest people.
They don't get a bonus for writing tickets to people. They don't. And if you're nice to them, there's a chance you might not get a ticket if you're not doing anything belligerently wrong. But if you get smart with them, it's almost sure bet you're going to get one.
Now, I've known some agents that they are no nonsense agents. All right, you should know better. You're the whole 9 yards. And then I've known others that'll they'll work with you.
Yeah,
but they'll work with you once. They catch you again, and it's no longer But people make mistakes.
It's kind of like the old state patrol pull you over. He give you a break once, but he catch you running 100 again. He ain't gonna give you a break second time.
That's true. And don't think you can outrun him because you're not.
Well, used to could, but fast full radio.
Yeah, but you can't outrun those radios. I don't care how fast you go.
We used to have a ball doing that, but you cannot. Even when they first started, I remember when they first started getting radios in patrol cars. They didn't all have them.
Yeah.
So it was still okay, but once they put them in all of them, you was kind of in trouble.
That is very true. But
I had them set roadblocks up for me before. I understand that 100%. What's Chrissy say here? I never forget the day that ODNR was out checking license, and I had a fish on, and he come down to my way. Ernie told me to get my license and said he's just going to wait a minute, and I'm catching my fish. I got you. Yep. We've been checked by bunches of them.
Yeah.
Catfishing out on the Missouri and Mississippi River, and they're always nice and polite and courteous. They're, like you said, they got a job to do. They're doing it well. Mike Christensen, when he was a conservation agent, a lot of people didn't like him, and I've had run-ins with him a couple times. But in the middle of the week, I'd be the only one fishing, and he'd pull up beside me and tie his boat off to mine and check my license every time, and sit there and visit with me for hours on end because there was nobody else out there, and he's got to spend so much time out on the water. They told me.
Yep, and that's the thing. I don't mind getting checked by the conservation agents. I don't.
If they do anything illegal, there's no reason to worry about it.
And if that agent has checked my license 15 times that year, I'm not going to complain about it.
No, me either.
They deal with so many people, they can't remember who you are.
Yep.
They're not going to remember everybody and everybody that they've checked and all that stuff. And it takes a whopping minute and a half to either pull that up on your phone or pull your wallet out and show them your damn license.
I've learned that having it on your phone is just about as easy as anything.
It is.
Take a picture of it, run through there and find it.
But here's the thing. I will hand them my driver's license and my fishing permit just so they know.
Driver's license because you're old enough you don't need a fishing license?
No, I hand them because I can't remember if I'm being pulled over or if I'm out fishing. So I just hand them both. It's easier that way. You see the look on them state troopers' face when I hand them that fishing license. They are just confused as I am. So
I pulled out my concealed and carry license 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. Well, but I mean,
that's not what I'm asking you for. I need to see.
Yeah. But no, and I usually tell them, I don't mind checking,
I don't either. I like to, and a lot of times, I've had guys. Cindy and I fished a tournament up at LaGrange, and 2 guys come out of a cove up there or a creek or something and come down there. We was parked in front of a grain elevator. He said, if you don't do any good here, he said, go down here and try this spot. He said, they've been catching a lot of fish down there. He didn't have to tell me that, but he knew there was a tournament going on,
Yep. Well, I will tell you, the agent that we had here in Schuyler County recently retired, and he was a good agent. I mean, awesome agent. I've worked with him, for ever since he first joined. And I'd share, fishing information with him, because he was an avid fisherman. But the second he retired, and I told him, all that information stops. He's now a competitor. He's no longer an agent. I feel no obligation, but he still gets a hold of me about once or twice, a month or so and ask me, where the good fishing is. And I'll tell him.
Oh yeah. Now I got checked a couple of times by a guy last year, real tall guy, really nice. And he said, I can't remember your name. He said, but I remember your truck. Of course, I was the only one there.
Yeah.
And I think I was the only one there at the time before when he checked it. No, there was other people there because he's checking license on several people. But he said, I remember your truck. And he said, oh, you got a license, but I'd sure like to see it again. I said, that's fine. I drive here. And I don't have a problem with it all. They're just, like I say, they got a job to do, so they get a check on Friday like everybody else.
Yep.
And if you're not doing anything wrong, it only takes a couple of minutes, and them fish will still be there when you're done.
Oh, yeah. 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 There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, again, I have no problem with any of that. Yeah.
I had him come over one time and while I was cleaning fish. And he said, you know how many fish is in there? I said, I sure do. And I got this counter like Dieter's got. And I don't use it for how many fish I catch. I use it for how many's in that basket so I don't go over.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more liable to forget how many I put in the basket than I am to how many I caught.
Yeah. And I've got a fish counter here. I won't bring it out just because, Mark's ill and I don't want him getting his blood pressure up.
Wait a minute.
It's stuck at 25.
I was getting ready to ask if it was.
I still got it. Going up on the trophy wall, folks.
Oh, that's too funny. That was a great day that day.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're definitely going to have to do some fishing together this year, and probably even go live.
You think?
Oh, maybe.
I would like to see Stan or some of these guys get some more of those panfish tournaments going.
Yeah.
I'm not real big on the point systems where one fish is worth more than another.
No, it's one fish, 1 point, folks.
That's the way I look at it. One fish, 1 point. And it shouldn't matter what size they are on panfish because, hell, you're liable to catch 100 of them that's this long and 2 or 3 like this,
Yep.
So, but yeah, the way they done it was still fun. We had a great time. And I think crappie was worth 2 point, bluegill was worth 1. Well, where we was at, it was
all crappie.
We got 2 for everything. So
yeah, but no, there's hopefully we can, there's some more tournaments out there. I just do not have time to organize one and all this other stuff. Like I said, we're coming up on a busy time of year for me and Katie. We're going to have 2 or 3 classes a week, the whole 9 yards.
Greg Burgess says, when the wildlife and fisheries checked me out the last time, he checked my grandson and looked at me and said, you're okay.
That's what we all aimed for right there.
Yeah, I understand completely. I really do. But like I say, I don't mind it at all.
No,
both of them are really nice. Like Mike and I, we had our times. He pulled some stuff when he first started. And he got a phone call from me one time. I chewed his ass out right good. He remembered it. But
I think all these agents, they're fresh out of the academy like that. They know what is by the book, so they're going to follow by that book.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. And if you're still not breaking the law, you have nothing to worry about.
But I just don't mind it. It's like getting pulled over. I don't like being pulled over because usually if I get pulled over, I'm getting a ticket. Not always, but a lot of times. But I've had enough tickets in my life. I really don't need any more.
Well, with the gas prices going back up, I have them handicap plates on my vehicle. I set my cruise at 55 miles an hour. You want to get behind me and you want to pass me and use quarter of a tank and go right for it. I'm optimizing my gas so I can travel as far as I possibly can and as cheap as I can so I can fish as much as I can. So
I'm going to tell you something you ain't going to believe. The other day, I was in Columbia, and we had that strong wind. I come back from Columbia, and the first 190 or 200 miles on that tank of gas got 24 miles a gallon.
Yeah, but that wind was cooking, though.
It was cooking.
Yeah.
Well, it stayed right around 23 and a half. And I got down to about a quarter of a tank. And I got into a headwind coming home, and it just like you could almost.
Oh, yeah. Watch that gas gauge just do this.
Yeah. But
the speed limit up in Iowa was 55. And so I've got it all mapped out where I can fish 5 different lakes on the way up to Iowa and back. If I chose to, I mean, the way we take, and the speed limit in Iowa is 55. And if you're an out-of-stater, it feels like them highway patrol up there are just itching to pull you.
I'll bet.
So I lock in my cruise at 55 when I leave the house and drive that all the way up there. And that way I can slow down and I can look over to see if anybody's fishing, in one of the lakes, seeing if they're carrying a basket, stuff like that. Because if there are, I'll pull in. I don't mind.
Now, wait a minute. So you don't look to see what's going on off in the field, or if there's a deer or a coyote out there or somebody.
That's what I got Katie in the car for.
I got to look for myself. It don't matter how fast I'm going.
She tells me how to drive and where to go and all that other
ain't
stuff.
No shit.
So there's no difference. I guarantee you she's told me 4 times today where to go and what to do when I got there.
Oh man, that's funny. I can't believe Jolene's going to be 16 this year. Wow.
Yep, she is, and she's happy about it, but she's not happy about it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a female thing, isn't it?
I don't know. She is Katie through and through.
No.
I'm going to mute you in a minute.
I'm not so sure that's 100% correct, but.
Well, we all got into a fight the other day, and I had to call the other kids to try to back me up, and they just threw my ass under the bus.
Really? I can't believe that.
Yeah, who actually raised Jolene, and well, unanimous consent says that I did, and I'm the reason why she turned out the way she did so far. But I'm blaming her sister and her mom. That's
Good luck with that.
She's about as mouthy as they come, and she don't take no crap off nobody.
And she didn't get all that from Katie, I promise you.
No, she probably didn't.
Yeah.
But her older sister, though, Yeah. But
wow. Matt says his daughter turned 16 in February. I didn't think Matt was that old. I guess he is.
Not everybody as old as you are, Lyle.
A lot of people for sure isn't. And that's okay. But as long as I can still get around and walk to the dock and the boat, I'm okay.
Well, hopefully there's a lot of that this year. That's for sure.
That's what we're planning on. We're running just about an hour, James. I've had a great time tonight. We covered a lot of ground.
All right.
You're going to be in with me next week again?
Yes, sir. I'll be here.
We'll figure out something to talk about, folks. And please,
folks, if you have any show ideas for me and Lyle that you want us to cover or do or anything like that, go to that Panfish Nation page and post, your ideas there, and we'll cover the topic.
That or just message one of us directly. Yep. I'm not even sure James got a Facebook thing anymore.
I don't even answer. Listen,
anybody I know.
I'm going to tell you something. My phone, I don't even know why I pay for a phone. All my messages and stuff like that, I'll hand my phone over to Katie because I don't want to deal with it. Yep. So she knows everything that's going on before I do, because I won't do it. I won't answer my phone unless I know exactly who it is.
And then I
don't always answer.
Yeah, most of the time I get Jolene, and that's okay.
It's because most of the time I'm fishing, and
she tells me she's the only one catching fish.
Yeah, I seriously think that's right.
Greg says, my problem is when I go somewhere without my wife, I don't know when to turn and how to park. I'm on board with you, buddy. I know exactly how that is. But you know what? It isn't all bad. So
no, it is not.
Just keep that in mind.
Yep.
Thanks, Tom. We appreciate it. Listen, we're going to jump off here tonight. If you got any ideas, give us a shout. Messages. The Panfish Nation web page is still up, but you can contact me on Cranky Old Anglers, or just send me a message through Facebook, my personal account. I'll be happy to take a look at any ideas anybody's got. And in the meantime, we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, everybody.